So here's the thing. This one might make you feel a different way about me. So before I go into why, I invite you to like this video if you're watching. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if that's where you're watching. If you're listening to this, please be following wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate and review if that's your thing. And share the video or the audio, whichever one of these you partake in. Please share it. If you feel strongly about the political situation that we've just encountered in the country and you feel negatively about the results, then I apologize for any offense that my opinions in this episode may cause. And I do say this during the episode several times, but if you disagree with anything that I say, then you have every right to talk about this in the comments. Let me know. Sound off in the comments of however you feel. But I do ask this. Please be respectful, and I will extend the same courtesy. But if there is disrespect involved in your opinion, then I will also extend the same courtesy. So just keep that in mind, that I will be as respectful as you are if you do have an opinion about this. I pretty much just talk about how I feel about the things that I've witnessed since the election has occurred. And I go into my opinion about the whole situation. And it is, like I said, it's not my intention to divide anybody. And to be perfectly honest, I'm probably going to lose some of you. And that breaks my heart to know. But I'm probably going to lose some of you. And just that being said, if that is the case and I don't see you again after this, just know it's been a pleasure to have you around. And I'm very glad to have gotten to drop this content for you and have you in the live chats of the live streams that I do, or commenting or watching the videos, even if that's all you do, just dropping a view on it. Like, it's been an honor to have you around is what I'm saying. And if I do lose any of you, just know that I thank you so much for being here for as long as you were. And if these things have moved you to the point to where you don't want to be part of this anymore, I understand. And there's no need to bring it up. You can just move on if that's what you'd like to do. Just know that I'm a real human, and a lot of other people, a lot of other real humans out there feel similarly to the way that I feel. And I just want you guys to know that I respect you and your opinions, and you are as entitled to them as I am to mine. So, all of that being out of the way, I'm not going to ramble anymore. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get on with the episode. Just like I said, keep in mind that I it's not my intention to come on here and start an argument. But like I said, if you guys do want to have any kind of debate about any of these situations, I'd be more than happy to entertain that in the comments. So feel free to sound off down there of anything that I might say that you guys disagree with, or if anything that I say that you guys believe not to be true, then I would be more than happy to have that conversation. Just like I've already said, just make sure that we keep everything respectful in these back and forths, and I'd be more than happy to entertain that. So anyway, that being said, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to help out monetarily, become a member on the YouTube. Become a pudding on the Patreon. A lot of content gets posted there that doesn't go anywhere else. A lot of behind the scenes footage from Secret Show and like the green room pictures and such. So yeah, go be a part of that if you'd like to help out monetarily. And other than that, roll tide, everybody. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to episode number 11, I think. Number 11. So enjoy it, guys. So I made a long post, not a really long post. I made a post on Facebook of all places, talking about pretty much, to paraphrase a bit, that if you've been friends with someone for a very long time and you know that this person is not sexist or racist or homophobic or transphobic or misogynistic or any of the other isms that you want to put in there, if you know that these people that you've known for however long you've known them for are not any of those things, and then you find out that they voted differently than you, and all of a sudden those people are now all of those things, I take issue with that. And I shouldn't do this. I think I'll probably address this in the intro, and maybe you've already heard me say something along the lines of, this is a very taboo thing to do, but I kind of want to put a face to the opposing side of this coin. Not my face, because it's terrible and breaking out right now, but just a human person to have an opinion on these things, I guess. It's not my intention to sway anyone any direction or the other. It's just simply to point out something that I have observed. And since the election, which is why we took the last week off, by the way, since the election, I have witnessed people on social media completely. Now, and by the way, I haven't noticed this in real life. I have real life friends that we differ politically, and nothing has changed with my real life friends. Some of them may feel a certain way, but we're all still human, and we're all still coexisting with each other harmoniously. But I've noticed this a lot in social media, where people are posting things like, if you voted Republican, then I never want to talk to you again. You don't care about me or my people. You are an awful person. You're all of the isms I've already mentioned. And that's just quite plainly not true or fair. And I don't bring up fair where other people will be like, they'll have a rebuttal similar to, well, it's not fair for all of these people to be losing their rights. And I think that the people who are on team I'm losing my rights may not be fully aware of how things are going to go and how little rights people are actually going to lose. specifically for women. And I've heard multiple people say this, but it's always been of my opinion that I don't have an opinion on these things because I'm not able to get pregnant. Therefore, I have no opinion on the termination of any pregnancies or anything like that. I have no opinion on that because I can't have a baby. So that's not my argument to make. Other people can argue that point if they would like. That's not my cup of tea. But the things that I do care about, like, I care very much about this country. And this might be news for a lot of folks who know me now, but for any of the folks that listen to this podcast that have been with me since the MI stuff days will know that this is pretty much how I've always been. And if you go and dig, you'll be able to find out, if you go and watch any of those old MI stuff podcast episodes, you'll find out a lot more about me and how I felt about the state of the world during the whole like Kaepernick situation and through all of the George Floyd situation and the Black Lives Matter situation. And you'll find in those old episodes that I'm very, very left-leaning on many, many things. Like I named the names. Like Breonna Taylor, I named the names. I said them in the podcast. Like, I'm very, very left-leaning on a lot of things. And I was very left-leaning on the Colin Kaepernick situation. I believe that whether or not you're burning a flag or standing on a flag, like, yes, if you stand on a flag, you play stupid games, you might win a stupid prize. And if you're stomping on a flag, someone who fought for that flag may beat the shit out of you for doing so. And if that's the case, then he has the right to, it's a free country. But this country stands and was founded on the basis of, if you are American, you have rights to opinions, and you have rights to free speech, and you have the right to say whatever it is you want to say, and pretty much protest in any way that you see fit, even if these protests mean that you're going to stomp on an American flag, or that you're going to use your free speech to say whatever negative things you would like to say about this country. This country has things in place to protect those things that you would say. Now, here is where the things get tricky. So, in my opinion, the protection of those things also comes with the protection for people who disagree with your opinion to also state their opinions. So because you have the right to do whatever it is you would like to do, to protest in any way that you see fit, to stomp on a flag, or to negatively talk about this country or the people who run it, the opposing side of your beliefs also reserve those same rights that you do. So if it's going to be good for the goose, it has to be good for the gander. If it's good for one, it's good for all. And that's how it has to be, or else everything is upside down. Now, I bring that up to make this point. There were many things that the Republicans stand for that I personally might not agree with, like specifically the abortion thing. I personally believe that if someone does not seem fit or is not prepared for parenthood or whatever the reason may be, then that is that person's right to do whatever it is they see fit. That I do believe in that, which is something different than most Republicans would believe in. And I'm not even saying that because I'm not a Republican, by the way. I'm not that. If I have to be, I'm more of like a conservative leaning libertarian. And I think that most people are falling on the libertarian side of things politically. If they needed to have a name, most people will fall under that umbrella. But that all being said, I do believe that. Now, because I can't produce a human life because of my gender, I can't really have an opinion about it. But that is my opinion. If I were to have one, it'd be you should be able to do whatever it is you want. Now, this is in that same breath. On social media, I've had people reply in comments to things saying that, okay, well, these rights are being taken away because if something happens, if someone is SA'd, or if someone is, if there's incest involved or whatever, then some people will have to carry this to term. And that's not the case. That is a lie that the opposing side that won would like people to believe. That is the thing. That is a thing that the blue side, that's a total lie. It's not the truth. And it's been refuted many times by the red guys. They've all said that exceptions are made in cases of SA or and by the way, I have to use that because there's certain buzzwords that you can't say on platforms or else they'll be taken down or shadow banned, which, by the way, we're getting to that later, is coming to an end. But if someone is SA'd or if there's incest involved or if the health of the mother is in jeopardy, then there's exceptions. And these are very well thought out exceptions, and it pretty much leaves it up to the only thing that it would prevent is if someone is maybe just irresponsibly sexually active. And I say irresponsible in the way of like, I do realize that there are contraceptions and things like that can be used. This is not lost on me. But in my opinion, the irresponsibility comes into entering into that level of that level of an agreement with someone who they're not prepared to start a family with. And I'm very modest in my in that aspect of my life, which I think if you've listened to these episodes, you will readily you already know. So I there is a part of me that believes that, you know what, some of these things. Oh, by the way, just to finish my point about the whole SA and incest and health of the mother thing, that cancels out a lot of arguments. So if a lot of people, their only argument is, well, I'll have to do this if something bad happens to me, that argument is canceled because that's not the case. There is an exception for that, and the same with incest, which would probably come with a bit of the first situation as well, and also the health of the mother. Those are exceptions, and I think those are the main three. I'm sure there may be more in the small writing or in the details or whatever, but like There are exceptions in place for those situations. So those arguments are canceled out and void. For the other argument, that there is a part of me who believes that people should take responsibility for their actions. And whether or not you say, oh, that's a misogynistic point of view, you shouldn't have an opinion because you're a male. I've already said this. I've already said all of this. So just take what I'm saying now with a grain of salt, because I've already said, I shouldn't have an opinion about this because I can't do it. But if I did have an opinion, it would be you should have to take responsibility for your actions. And if it is in your interest to go out into the world and live a promiscuous life, then I believe you should have to pay the piper, so to speak. You should have to take into account that there are actions for these, there are consequences to these actions that you enter into. And it's not, and to say, oh, well, that's not fair to say. Well, my argument is that to feel that way is not fair to all of the women throughout all of history who have known the consequences of these things and continued to enter into these situations. And then once the consequence to the action arrives, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do away with this because I'm not ready for this right now. And in my personal opinion, I believe that if you're not ready for it, then you should, if you don't need groceries, don't go to the grocery store. You know what I mean? If you don't need any ice cream, then stay away from the ice cream aisle. As simple as it is. God knows we all love ice cream. Ice cream's the best. I love ice cream. It's incredible. It's been a while since I've enjoyed ice cream in the analogy, but as I recall, boy, nothing like it. However, I do know that I'm of the age right now to where I would probably end up having a consequence to the ice cream. And I'm not ready for that. So you know what I did? I became celibate several years ago. Talked about that in one of these episodes. Not ready for a kid, so I have abstained from the ice cream. And then a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, well, that's a lot harder for hot people to do. And I assume that it is. But it doesn't make that any different. We're all still human. We all have the same urges. And not to pin any feathers on myself, but a lot of us also have the same opportunities as other people do as well. There's no shortage of opportunity. But what there is also not a shortage of is awareness of a responsibility that I would have if something were to arise from this action that I would commit. And I'm just not ready for that. So for those who would say put your money where your mouth is, I'm already doing that. So I do want to say that I think that pretty much squashes the entire argument that a lot of people have about losing rights, because it's mostly women that are talking about losing rights. And if it is that, then it seems like the only right that is being lost is a right to promiscuity. And I find it hard, personally, LOL, I find it hard to sympathize with that view. Like I said, grain of salt, I don't have an official opinion about this because I can't reproduce myself. by myself. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been tested. Maybe I can't. Maybe I actually can't have kids, or maybe I couldn't be a father, or whatever. I have no idea. I don't know what the swimmers are like. But all of this being said, like, I'm aware that this is not my argument to have. That is something that the other folks should argue. But I will, like I said, to try and put a face to this situation and an argument, that's something that might be worth considering. Is that there are people out there who do feel the way that I feel about this, and that I just wanted to point that out before I moved further into this conversation. But yeah, the whole argument of if you voted a certain way, that means that you voted to remove rights, then that's I just personally that's inaccurate. I believe that is inaccurate, and you guys can sound off in the comments and correct me. I'm not above being corrected, and honestly, I'm not above being proven wrong. I invite that. I'm not one to say that I have all of the answers and that my opinion is the end all, or my opinion isn't the authority on this subject. And I'm here to be corrected. I'm here to have this conversation. But what I do ask is that if you do have an opposing opinion, like, let's keep respect in every conversation. And it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of respect in any conversation that I have witnessed, and just calling it like I see it, there's a whole lot less respect coming from one side of this argument than the side that inevitably ended up winning. And some folks can say, well, that's because the other side won. And I'm not even going to say in my opinion. Just let's go forward assuming that everything I say is my opinion, and I'm not trying to maybe I am trying to sway someone else's thought on this. But either way, shit, where was I at? I just lost my train of thought. Just over-explaining that I'm speaking my own thoughts. See, I lost my train of thought just being redundant. Why do I do that? Maybe a sip of tea? Anyway. Shit, where was I? This is sometimes where it's nice to have a chat, so that they'll be able to remind me what I was talking about before I went off on a random ass tangent. There's a lot less respect from the side that lost. And some people can say that, well, that's because they won. And I guess. But to be fair, the other side won the last time, and they were equally intolerant. And I thought it was ironic that there's a term called the tolerant left, because that's not something that I have witnessed at all. I have tried my best to enter into a conversation with several people that had differing views than I had about random situations that I haven't even talked about yet. Like things like just having more money in my pocket, or not spending money on useless wars that we have no business meddling in, or the fact that there are people in this country who need funds that are not getting them because we're spending literal billions of dollars that are just going down the drain on things that shouldn't be our concern. And it just that's beside the point right now. But I had stated a couple of opinions that I had, and I was immediately put into the box of, okay, well, now I'm in a cult. Which is ironic that that's the word that was used in the beginning when there was someone accusing me and other people who had similar beliefs that to be in a cult. And I kind of want to talk about that for a second, because a cult is pretty much someone who has fabricated a reality and convinced other people that it is the reality that we live in. And then once the people in this cult are convinced that that reality that the other person has fabricated, this cult leader has fabricated, is real, then they will blindly follow that person because they believe that this person is the only one who has the answers, and this person is the only one who knew that that fabricated reality was the actual reality that they convinced everyone of. And as I'm looking at this, that seems to be very indicative of what the left had created. And people will say that, oh, well, the Republican Party was, they were lying about all of this other stuff, and they were trying to create a reality. And to be honest, on paper, that's inaccurate. On paper, that is actually inaccurate. And the reality that was being created was made public on election night, because everyone that was watching the election from the other side, I made sure to watch left-leaning news channels during the election because I really wanted to see all sides of it. I know what the Fox News guys are going to say. I know how that's going to go, but I was really curious to see what the other news stations would just wanted to see how they would spin everything that happened. And all of them were just flabbergasted when the results started coming in. And that made it more clear to me, and I believe the rest of the country, that all of these things that they had been pushing were just plainly not true. All of these things that they had been trying to convince the American people of were simply not true, and it's obvious now. And a lot more people are aware of this, the lies that were being peddled to us now than they ever were before. And that I can find some solace in that, because one thing that I hate is being lied to. It is my biggest pet peeve. I cannot stand being lied to. And man, we were lied to for years. And if you go back and look, the main talking point that the people on the left had leading up to the presidency was Orange Man bad. And that's literally the whole gist. And unfortunately, that's not enough. And the other stuff that was going on, like the biased fact checking going on during debates that would incorrectly fact check the right side, and like whenever the left side would say something completely fabricated, there would be crickets and no one would speak up to fact check anything that the opposing team was talking about. And that just seemed very not fair to me. And I obviously am not the only one that feels that way. Because if you go and look at a map of the country, the county map, I'm not talking about the electoral map. The electoral college map is one thing, but the county map, the map of each county in the country, people are fed up. People were fed up with being lied to, and now it's more obvious than ever that the previous election was, in so many words, meddled with by the coverage. And people will say, oh, well, the same thing happened this time with Elon Musk and X. And that's entirely false. Because if anything, the playing field was just leveled on one single platform. And that happened to be X. But if you go through, YouTube would not allow certain things to be said that had an opinion opposing the left side, as was Google, as was Facebook, and as was X until Elon Musk bought it. And that's just a fact. There's no argument to that at all. It's just a simple fact that that's what happened. And feel how you want to feel about all of this and disagree with me all that you want. But like I said, let's keep this thing respectful. If you would like to sound off in the comments, I'm here to reply to you. I'm here to have this conversation. Like I said, I'm not shying away from that at all in any way. If you guys would like to do that, all I ask is to keep the respect there. I'm not going to respond to anything with any sort of disrespect involved, but I'd be more than happy to have an adult conversation about this if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. But yeah, it's obvious what happened. Go look at the map. So many people are just simply fed up with being lied to. And someone will probably say something like, name a lie. Tell me a lie. I'll tell you a lie that I caught. There was a video of the blue candidate. You guys will notice I'm not saying any of the names here. There was a video of the blue candidate taking a call at the polls and having a conversation with somebody, and turns and shows the phone to the camera. And ironically enough, it is just a camera. The camera app is open on the phone. So there's no one on the call. It's the camera app that's open. And they show that. That's a lie. The coverage of that is a lie. To imply that you're getting a phone call when there's no one there is simply a lie. That is one way where we have been lied to. There's many more lies. And most of those lies are just small altered truths that are altered just enough to infuriate people who are looking for a reason to be infuriated. And that's not fair. And it is indeed interfering with active elections, which is not, that's not the way any of this should go. Thankfully everybody is fed up with that. And I don't say thankfully because of who got elected. I don't want you to hear that in what I'm saying. I want to express that I am glad that the American people are finally standing up for literally I'm sick of this. I'm sick of how things have been going, and everyone else is sick of it. Everyone else is sick of how things are going. Like, literally everything, the price of electricity, the price of groceries, all of this inflation that everybody wants to blame on Trump. Well, everything that happens in one election is just a reflection of what the last regime put into place. And that might have been true for the old, slow churning bureaucracy of the 90s and maybe early 2000s, but that's not how things go now. It's a whole different world. Shit happens in real time now. And I think that's obvious. The campaign that was led by the left was not, it did not go well because they tried the same things that people thought worked in the 90s for that 8-year run, and then in the 2000s for that 8-year run. They thought the same things that got the last two guys on their teams in for a long term would work. And don't even get me started on the fact that, like, I heard somebody else say it on one of the podcasts I listened to about you can't, I'm not saying that anything was stolen in 2020, like a lot of the people would like to say, like these talking points. I'm not saying that. But to echo what a lot of people on podcasts have been saying, they might not have stole the thing, but they most certainly made it difficult. They most certainly made it difficult for one candidate to not do well. And also, go back and look at the amount of people on the blue side that voted in those early 2000s elections, and then look at the ones in 2020. Like, it is astronomically higher, and you can't sit there with a honest. You cannot sit there with honest thoughts in your head and tell me that the people, that 20 million more people liked the vice president of the guy who won 2 terms in the early 2000s. You cannot tell me that. Like, that's just, you can't honestly believe that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And for the record, I didn't vote in the 2016 one. I did not vote in 2016. I just let whatever happen. And I was like, you know what? Because I didn't really care for anybody in 2016. In fact, I wrote a song. And in that song, America, I'm actually gonna do a sidebar here real quick, and I'm actually gonna break down that song, because not the whole thing, but there's a line in it where a lot of people were not going to vote in 2016 because a lot of people hated the red guy and a lot of people hated the blue lady in 2016. And there's a line that says, handed wrong and still refusing, doing right despite our losing, being lied to ain't amusing, America. That's the line. And a lot of people thought handed wrong and still refusing, doing right despite the losing, to mean that we're doing right even though the side we wanted to win lost. And that's not what the song meant. The song was written before the election. It was written in the election year, earlier in 2016 in the summertime when the campaign trail was being burned up. The line handed wrong and still refusing means that people did not like either of these candidates. And that was my handed wrong and still refusing. We're like, we got both of these, then no thank you. I'm not voting. And handed wrong and still refusing, doing right despite our losing, mean that we lost by being given the two candidates that we were given. We lost in 2016 by having to choose between two people that nobody really wanted. An old school political plant, and then a guy who knew nothing about politics, had zero experience in any sort of political situations, that wants to be the president of the United States. We were all like, come on. That's how we felt in 2016. But being lied to ain't amusing was the third line in that. And I think that is the thing that echoes the loudest. Being lied to ain't amusing, because it's not. Nobody likes being lied to. And if they do, they're just delusional. And they want other people to share in their delusion, which is a mental health issue. But let's hope that our guy. I'm trying not to say names in this. Let's hope that our guy that we're going to put on health is going to fix all this stuff. But let's hope that he's gonna fix this mental health stuff that's going on, and like we'll actually get care for people that need it. And anyway, being lied to ain't amusing, and that is the loudest thing. So that being said, 2016 happens, and I'm like, all right, I was with Dave Chappelle. Y'all remember Dave Chappelle's cold opening on SNL that night after the election, where he says, I'm going to give him a chance, and I request that he does the same for us, to give us a chance. And I believed that. I believed that wholeheartedly. I believed every bit of that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. And that being said, I voted in 2020. I got off the couch and I went and I voted. And I was at the voting booth, and I remembered thinking about Dave Chappelle when he said he knew the guy won in 2016 because when you pull up to the voting booth, it was apparent who they were there to vote for. It was apparent who all of these people were there to vote for, and they were just outnumbered. And this was in Ohio where he voted. It was apparent. And I felt the same way in 2020. I was like, man, a lot of people here for the red guy. Man, this seems like it's going to be another clean sweep. But then all of a sudden, other things started happening. Middle of the night, more votes show up. And then all of a sudden, it swung in a huge way for the blue team. And that happened in the middle of the night. Can't make that up. And that doesn't look good. But America accepted it. But what is obvious is that the American people were lied to. And it's obvious now. Because if that weren't a lie, and that were really how it was, then it would have been the same thing this time around. It would have been the same thing and worked out the same way. But because it happened in 2020, whoever was paying attention paid attention harder this time, and it did not happen, and it turned out another way. And I honestly believe that that's the way it would have turned out the last time around had things been a little bit more fair on what was allowed to be. And that's the thing. People just wanted to say that, okay, he's spreading disinformation or misinformation or whatever you want to call that thing. And it obviously, a lot of those things that people were calling misinformation and disinformation ended up being proven correct. All like left and right. Things that were called lies and things that were called misinformation were just proven right, left and right. And everybody in America saw that shit coming. They all saw it. And that's all there is to it. Everybody was sick of being lied to. They're sick of the narrative. They're sick of, you agree with me or you're a bigot or you're a racist. If you disagree with me in any way, I'm going to put this ism tag on you that you have. You're phobic in some way against some minority, or you're racist against a race of people, or you're sexist against a sex of people. Like you have this, if you disagree with me in any way, this is what you are now. And that is so messed up for people to put that on us. And I say us because I'm one of the people who might have an opinion about something that disagrees with the narrative that the left side pushes out. And I don't know, maybe I could come up with something here that I like on paper that I disagree with, but I don't think I have to do that to make the point. And that point is that there's just no tolerance in the other side when they're supposed to be the side that is for peace and love and joy and all of this. Like, that's what's supposed to be going on here, but that's obviously not what's happening. I find more hatred on that side, hatred and intolerance, and honestly, there's a lot more racism on that side as well. And that is a thing that a lot of people, if you notice, a lot of the states that went aggressively blue in the map, a lot of those states are places in which there is not a very diverse population. And if you look on the map, in a lot of the states that went red, there does seem to be, and I'm specifically talking about the South, where I'm from in South Carolina. It's a very diverse location. In fact, I believe in my county and where I'm from, I'm pretty sure that I am a minority there. And my county is a blue county. In the middle of a sea of red, I'm from a blue county in South Carolina. And like, that's old Southern Democrat. That's old Southern blue is what that is in where I'm from. And like I said, I'm a minority there. But the thing is that we all grew up together in the South. So when you talk about racism, this and that about the South, that exists a lot more in the places that have done things to disenfranchise these communities at a crippling rate. And that sort of thing isn't really happening in the South like people think that it is. It's just simply not. And yet they want to scare you into thinking that's all that's happening, and that your vote means that you are a bigot and that you are racist if you voted a certain way. And just the whole time in 2016, when the blue side called the people who voted against them deplorable, and then in the new election that just happened, the people that voted against them are now garbage. Like, and this is not a comedian who is a friend of mine that makes a joke at Madison Square Garden rally. That is a joke this guy has been doing for years. And listen, I've seen that joke on stage in front of a crowd in Austin, Texas, which is very Hispanic and very diverse. And I'm telling you, it crushes. Maybe in the morning at a Madison Square Garden rally, it doesn't do so well after you've just had a prayer and the national anthem, and then this guy goes out, my friend goes and cold opens the Madison Square Garden. Maybe the joke doesn't do so well under that circumstance. But I'm here to tell you that the people down here in the trenches that are going out and voting, they tend to like the joke. So, yeah, well, you know, what can you do? But that's the thing, is that my friend did this joke and people were all up in arms about it. But at the end of the day, it's a joke. And not only is it a joke, but have you guys realized that making that joke has brought light to the actual fact that there is like physical garbage that is being that the Puerto Rico really is struggling to contain and do something with? Have you guys realized that? I don't know if you guys knew this, but the guy that made that joke was historically like very, very left-leaning. Very much so. Like, when I first started paying attention to the show, I'm positive that he was vegan and is very much about like climate awareness and stuff like that, and recycling. Very much into stuff like that, as am I. I'm a big recycling. I care about the earth. I care about like I care about the earth, and he does as well. We've actually had conversations about this, but he gives a shit about this as well. That's where the thing comes from, is that, and I think Joe has even been saying it on the JRE lately, that he actually cares about the environment, and that's where the joke came from, is that there's so much garbage that they can't do anything with down there, so it's literally kind of like a floating island of garbage. And that sucks because it is beautiful, and we do have many incredible people from there in this country that voted. And guess how they voted? Overwhelmingly, believe it or not. But that, obviously, everybody knows he's a roast comedian. That was a joke that he made. What the other people said, they're not comedians. They literally called everybody who voted against their side garbage. And not only that, the people online, you go look at Twitter, if you believe this guy, or you voted for him, or believe anything that he says he's going to do is going to help you, and you believe anything other than he's stealing rights away from women or minorities, if you think any of that, you're misogynistic, you're racist, transphobic, sexist. Plug in whatever term you want to plug in that will be used. You're a Nazi. Like, That's what people are sick of. People are sick of, wait, you mean so if I don't agree with you, I'm all of these things? Get fucked. That makes me disagree with you more. Get fucked. That's what the country said to those people. And they said so overwhelmingly with their votes. I really didn't want to do all of this, but I feel strongly about it, and I needed something to talk about here, something that I feel passionately about, that I can go on here and ramble for an hour about and make points and get out how I feel. And like I said, I'm going to address this. I haven't recorded the intro yet. I always do that after I do the podcast. I record the intro as soon as I'm done talking in the actual episode, and I'm going to address that. Like, it's not my intention to start an argument, but some of you are going to be upset about this. Some of you might change the way you feel about me about this. But I want you to know that I would not change the way I felt about you if the tables were turned. And I know this because the tables were turned last election period. And I still felt the same way that I felt about my friends who had opposing opinions of me politically. So I know how I feel. And not only that, the same thing because I was there in 2008. Like, I was there. I remember all of those 8 and 12. Like, I didn't really gel with how those things turned out. But I wasn't out here calling the people that voted against my opinions idiots or being stupid. I wasn't being ignorant. I was saying, okay, well, they had the same right that I had. And no matter how it went, by the way, I didn't vote in either of those elections. I didn't vote. Last time I voted in 2004. Yeah, I voted in 2004, and that was the last time oh, you know what? Actually, I did vote in 2008. I voted in 2004 and 2008, and, yeah, I'm not, I'll say this. Me and my grandmother went to the polls together in 2008. And we voted differently. She voted for someone different than I voted for. And we both knew who the other one was voting for. And there was no like, no hate. We knew. We talked about it on the way there. Neither of us tried to convince the other one to change their mind. We just knew we might be related here. But this is just we're two Americans. We might be related, but we're just two separate Americans with separate opinions, and we're both voting for the person that we think is going to take our needs into account the most. At where we are, my grandmother voted for Obama. And like that's the thing. I bring that up often because not only that, my grandmother was very progressive. She was a police officer who adopted a black baby in 1972. Her and my granddad didn't vote the same. My grandmother voted my grandmother voted differently than my granddad did. And they never really talked about it. It was just not something you talked about back then. But she told me that. And she wouldn't tell anybody else that because she said that if anybody else found out, they would think differently about her. And she was probably right, but she told me that. And I didn't say anything until after she had already passed. And there was a conversation happening one time with my dad and my folks. They were all talking about. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, Granny voted for Obama, right? And they were like, no, she didn't. I was like, yes, she did. Like, she told me. She told me that's who she was voting for, and she did. Like, but like even that, it was just, I was just having to make a point that like not everybody agrees, not everybody's on the same boat, and not everybody's in the same group of thought. People just aren't like that. But I'm of the church that if you have a different opinion, that's nothing to take personal. Don't take it personal if you have a different opinion. That just means that somebody else feels differently. It's not your job to convince everyone to agree with every point that you have or every thought that you have. That's not what this is about. But what this is about is for you to respect everyone and everyone else's opinions, because at the end of the day, we're all American people. We all want a similar goal, which I believe is to see a true, fair, and prosperous country that we can all share and grow in equally, despite what these biased media networks want to shove down your throats and into your brains. Like, despite all of the propaganda that they want to shove down your throat, or despite all of the, lack of a better term, lies that they want to tell you, despite all of that, we're going to be fine. And we're all Americans. And we want the same thing. We want America to be incredible. And we want everyone to be able to afford food so long as they're willing to work. And we want everybody to prosper. Like, that's how the man won. The man won because he is selling the thought of the return of the American dream. And that thought of the return of the American dream is way more powerful than, oh, well, the guy running against me is bad. And that's how he won. Like I said, I'm sure I lost a lot of you, and most of you probably won't even get to this point because you're already sick of hearing all about this and hearing everybody's opinion. Nonetheless, mine or whatever, and I'm sure that I lose a lot of people here, and for that I apologize, but I do want to say that I still love you no matter who you voted for, and if it's not too much trouble, I ask the same courtesy from you. I ask that and maybe not everybody loves everyone, but I believe that you should. And like, I love the people I don't like. I still have love for every human soul on earth. I might not like those people, and I might say, oh, I hate this as a term sometimes, but I truly don't have hate in my heart. But, well, if you ask me for $1 too often on 6th Street, I might feel differently about you. And but we're splitting hairs at this point. Still, I have a love in me, in my heart, for all people. I don't care your background. I was raised this way, and that's how I am. And I just ask for the same courtesy. Like I said, I am opening up the comments on this thing, or DM me, or whatever it is however you want to contact, if you want to open a dialogue about this, if I've gotten things wrong that you think I've gotten wrong, so long as you come with respect, I will return to you with respect. But if you come to me disrespectfully, we're not doing that. I don't want to play that game. Because if you do not show me respect, I am not, that is your consent to me to not respect you. So just know that if somebody does want to come to me disrespectfully, then that's what they will get in return, is disrespect. I burnt my finger. Look at that. I've been messing with it the whole time. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I've probably said too much. I probably ruined a lot of people's opinion on me, and I hope not. But if that's the case, then so be it. Because I stand by everything that I said. I will say that if you do disagree with the outcome of the election and you didn't vote, then register to vote so that you can be ready the next time it comes around, so that you can prevent something that you don't like. And if you do also disagree with how it went, give it a chance. Because to be perfectly honest, I personally didn't wholeheartedly agree with how it went in 2016. And after a couple of years, my mind was kind of changed. So maybe give the guy a chance. He is your president after all. And whether or not you like the guy sitting in the seat, as American people, we should respect the position that he holds. And if something has made you, if this has made you lose your faith in the American people or America as a whole, then maybe do some searching in yourself and decide whether or not you want to be a part of this country. There's plenty of them out there, and just do some research and go looking around. And I bet you'll find that you're not going to find anywhere better on earth than this place where we're already living. Like, you don't see anywhere else in the world with the immigration issues that we have, which I didn't even touch on. I'm not bringing that up because that's not worth me going into. But nowhere else in the world has the many people that want to be part of their country than we do. And that's just all there is to that. And it's obvious. People are allowed to feel differently. People are allowed to feel differently than you feel. People are allowed to vote how they want to vote. And things are going to change. I said we'd get into free speech, and I didn't get into it, but I'll say my opinions on that is that we have the freedom to say what we want in this country. And if you lose that freedom, then that's where we become closer to the Germanic World War II things, where if you say this against this, that's where you become North Korea. When you start to lose your freedom to be able to say whatever it is you want to say, when you start to lose that freedom, that's where you inch closer to becoming a dictatorship. And that's where we were headed. Yet the other side would like you to believe that that's where we are now. You'll quickly learn that that is not the MO. And another thing, you guys should go back and look at the roster of people that the dude that got elected has been with before, and also their ethnicity. For those that want to call the man racist, you should go back and look at some of the people that he has been with, some of the ladies that he's been with. You should go back and look. That squashes the whole racist thing. And he just made what is it, the first ever lady shit, I should have this ready on the top of my head. What is the thing? Chief of Staff, the first ever female Chief of Staff ever, has just been appointed by the president-elect. He's not sexist. Like, it's just at every turn, these lies that were peddled by one side are just coming out, and I'm saying all of this knowing what I'm risking, and losing a lot of following and losing a lot of people that I actually don't want to lose. But like I said, just give the guy a chance. You might end up finding out that you believe a little bit closer to what you just might find out that you is not that bad. Is basically all I'm getting at. I'm really feeling I've recorded this thing, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't release this. I really shouldn't release this, but I'm going to because I'm going to. So that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you care, share this thing. If you're listening to it, follow wherever you're listening and leave a review. And if you're watching, then please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to help out, donate monetarily, you can do so in the link in the description. And become a YouTube member, become a Patreon pudding. You guys will get access to early access to a lot of things. Maybe this episode is going to go straight out because I'm recording it night of. I got to release this thing in literally like 7 hours. So, and I got to do a night stream and eat some food between here and there. So I'm going to get to that. But anyway, I would like to apologize in advance that if anybody is offended by anything that I said and feels threatened by me because of my opinions on these things that I've voiced in this episode. Those were not my intentions, and I do apologize wholeheartedly. And those were not my intentions. And I do care about everyone and their opinions and their I care is what I'm trying to say. But just please extend me the same courtesy that, you know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to like scare anyone or make anyone feel unsafe with my opinions. But I know that that's a world we live in now to where some people might not feel safe with certain opinions, and that's not what my intentions are. So just keep that in mind. And I hope you guys have a good night, and we're going to have a good 4 years. No matter who you are, I can assure you that once we're a year into this, you're going to see that it wasn't so bad, And once everybody has a little bit more money in their pockets and a lot of jobs come back into this country to get around the tariff situation that is going to make this country much better, it's going to be a better situation for all of us. So just trust in me on that. And if that's not how it works, then I'll say I'm wrong. Not above that. Roll Tide, everybody. Be good people. And, yeah, Roll Tide.